Well, I need Jesus. I need Jesus to forgive me.
The blues is on.
Pardon me, have we met before? You look familiar, but I still can't tell for sure. Can't explain the similarities. What it is that makes you look like me? Well, could it be you and me? We've had enough. We agree that everybody wants to be loved. We are free, free indeed. Gotta tell someone so we can hear the words, well done, my son. We gotta come together now. We gotta change our ways. I need you and you need me, and together we can be better friends and better than we used to be.
You're listening to the God I Love Sports radio show with your hosts, Pastor Jeremy Mercer and Daniel Peralta, coming to you live from Hope Studios in Corona, California. Just a couple of regular guys who love God and love sports, although they don't always love the same teams. Bring your questions, bring your takes, and bring your faith, because they will.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the God I Love Sports radio show. Sorry for everybody expecting us to tune in right at 3:30. We're changing over to a new system here, so we got the show on air just a couple minutes late, but we are excited to be with you here right now. You are listening to the God I Love Sports radio show. I am your host, Pastor Jeremy Mercer. Yup, I'm a pastor, but I'm a big sports fan too. And so that's what this show is all about. I lead the church called Connection Church here in Corona, California. Had a great thing going on this week, great service, I should say. A lot of good things coming up. But I want to thank you all for tuning in, whether you're listening in via the internet at hoperadio247.com or you've downloaded the Hope Radio app and you're streaming it live right now. Some of you might be listening and watching through Facebook. So what's up to everybody watching on Facebook? You are listening to the No Homer Show, where we tell it like it is. We're honest about sports. I tell my church all the time I'm a truth teller. So no matter how I feel about it or don't feel about it, the truth is the truth. And that's what we try to get to. I want to encourage you to call in today. A lot of good stuff going on right now. I was excited all weekend. Listen, I'm tired. Shauna had a crazy busy weekend, brother. I announced over the weekend 6 basketball games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had the Azusa Pacific, which, by the way, everybody, if you have not watched or listened to my interview last week with Azusa Pacific football head coach Victor Santa Cruz, go to the Hope Radio 24/7 app. It's on there. The Hope Radio 24/7 website, hoperadio247.com, 247.com. You can go to our Facebook page again, watch it there, listen. We had a great interview with the coach last week. He's a great guy, built a very good Division II program on the key principles of one blood football and being a warrior man. I loved it. It fired me up. I got a lot of good feedback about it. So if you have not listened, go over there as soon as this show is over, of course. Listen live to us right now, and then go over and make sure and listen to that interview. Listen, if you love God, if you love football, if you just like to hear about leadership principles, that's a great show, honestly, just about leadership itself. And we had a really great discussion, so I want to encourage you to listen into that. But as some of you may know, I am also the PA announcer for Azusa Pacific. Go Cougars for basketball and football. And this weekend, Azusa Pacific hosted the Division II Women's West Region. And so we had 4 games on Friday. So basically from noon till 9:30 at night, I was announcing basketball games.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even get to get lunch in between the first 2 games, man, because I was so busy writing my scripts out, and you got starting lineups, and the NCAA has a lot of announcements and rules they want you to do. And And so I had to do it a certain way, but it was a long day, and then I had 2 more on Saturday night. And then, of course, I preached in my church yesterday. I got my show today, and as soon as my show's over, I'm heading straight back to Azusa Pacific to announce the championship game tonight. So
girls or boys?
It's the girls. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the girls. The girls West Region. The girls were ranked number 1. Azusa Pacific women's basketball. Unfortunately, they got knocked out in the first round. It was bad. If I'm going to be honest here, and if anybody's listening from Azusa Pacific, if this causes me to lose my job, I'm sorry, but they choked. When you're the number 1 seed, you are not supposed to lose to the number 8 seed, and that's exactly what they did. They had some injuries and things coming in, but still they should have won that game. The number 2 seed ended up losing, and then the number 3 seed lost in the second round, and so the highest seed remaining is number 4, Alaska Anchorage, and they play tonight against Montana State Billings. And so it's Alaska versus Montana tonight. Alaska Anchorage is probably going to win that game, is what I would imagine. Montana State is the number 7th ranked team. They'd have to really play outstanding to beat Alaska Anchorage. They have a great program up there. Coach is kind of crazy. I'll say that, man, dropping F-bombs right in front of me and all this stuff and going around. And so, anyway, it's not a Christian school. Not that changes. I'll say this. I've been very thankful. I've been 5 years announcing basketball games there. We play not all Christian schools. We play a lot of Christian schools, though. And I've not heard any language from any of the coaches in the 5 years. So I'm like, good job, because I know, doesn't mean you can be perfect there. But anyway, so people have asked me, how are you still talking? And my only answer is that God gave me the voice like a tank. It's not the best, but it just keeps on going and going, and it plows through things. So I am feeling tired today. My voice is weak. It's like remember The Godfather? I'm a big Godfather fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, at the beginning opening wedding scene, and it's the guy who's supposed to be Frank Sinatra, Johnny Fontaine.
I haven't seen it in so
Sean,
long.
you're killing me. Come on, man. You got to know every single one of my movie references, because I do a lot of. So Johnny Fontaine, with that olive oil voice, comes to Godfather and says, "Oh, Godfather, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. My voice is weak. It's weak." And he starts crying with his hands in his head in his hands like this. And Godfather gets up and slaps him and goes, "You can act like a man. That's what you can do." And I'm like, yeah, that's what I love it. So anyway, I think all the time, you can act like a man. And especially, when I hang out with millennials. Anyway, and so I saw a commercial today with my wife this morning as I'm prepping for the show. It's a McDonald's commercial. I don't even know the whole premise of the show. I wasn't even paying attention, but a line caught me. And it's this old lady in a retirement home. And then she's doing all these different things. And then she's doing stand-up in front of the other residents. And then she just goes, "Millennials, am I right?" And that was it. And I busted up, and I'm like, who is that? And so anyway, it ended up being a McDonald's commercial. I'm shocked. So anyway, but I was really excited to get in studio and do the show today, despite the fact that I have been talking my ears off, my ears off, talking people's ears off, talking my mouth off for the last several days over the weekend with so many basketball games and preaching at my church and meetings and whatnot. But there was so much happening in the world of sports that I just really was excited about today's show. So call in. Join us today, 712-775-8984. Again, that number is 712-775-8984. Of course, if you're listening in via Facebook, I will do my best to get to all of your comments. And
Facebook and YouTube Live.
We're YouTube Live now.
Yeah.
Woo! We're big time now, baby.
In
Hope
a couple
Radio.
days, we'll be Periscope Live.
Wow, all right.
On Twitter, yeah.
All right, so that's the new system we're launching onto, the
Yeah.
new platform to get us out.
Yep.
So anyway, listen up, everybody. I mean, seriously, man, Hope Radio 24/7 is literally blown up worldwide. I told the coach we're in 84 countries, and he was like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, we get pings from literally all over the world for our radio station." And so we got a lot of great shows going on on this station. Day by Day with Robin Jody follows me up. Sean's show on Tuesday, Hours of Hope with Sean Kelly. Epic Thoughts with Ramon. Epic Thoughts, not Fox. Epic Thoughts with Ramon Merchant on Tuesday nights. A lot of great things. Reading through the Bible at different points in time of the year. So anyway, everybody, if you're watching via Facebook or YouTube, I can't see the YouTube comments on here. But if you are watching via Facebook, Sean's going to be looking for those. So if you're watching via YouTube and you're a new listener, man, God bless you. We're glad to have you. This is a straight sports talk show. We haven't got into sports yet. We're going to get there, and when we go hard, we go fast. But, we'll talk about the Lord at times and when it's appropriate. But exciting times for Hope Radio 24/7 to be sure. I do want to let everybody know something really, really awesome. If you are a listener to the God I Love Sports radio show and other stations as well, you might remember Reggie Doss, former LA Rams player, played with the Rams for 10 years. That is a good and successful and long NFL career to play 10 years in the NFL. And he has been a guest on this show a couple times, very recently, to help us preview the Super Bowl. And he talked about what it's like when he played in Super Bowl 14 against the Steel Curtain, Pittsburgh Steelers. He's actually going to be speaking at my church on Saturday. And so we're having a Men of Purpose, which is our men's ministry. We're having a Breakfast of Champions this Saturday morning, March 17th, from 8 to 10 a.m. So come on out. Tickets for breakfast are only $7. You get potatoes, bacon, sausage, eggs, good stuff like that. And then Reggie will be speaking as well. We're going to be raffling off a Rams mini helmet. Reggie's going to sign that, as well as some pictures. It's going to be a great day. If you're a Rams fan, a football fan, again, you just want to hear about life, man. It's going to be a good Saturday morning. Reggie's going to be talking about how he kept his faith on the field and in the locker room. And so, again, that is happening at Connection Church this Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m., March 17th, 8 to 10 a.m. All men are welcome. Dads, you can bring your sons. I'll definitely be bringing my 11-year-old son with me as well. And Reggie's a great guy, and his wife is actually one of the hosts here on Hope Radio 24/7. She is on Friday mornings from 10 to noon, God's Amazing Plans with Tamara Doss. And so anyway, men, come on out this Saturday. You can go to our church webpage, connectcorona.com. Look under the events tab there to find it, or the Men of Purpose tab to find it there. It's going to be on Facebook as well. So come on out this Saturday. You can go online and purchase your ticket. Give online through connectcorona.com. Again, just go to our website, connectcorona.com, to get all the information. But then you can purchase your ticket as well through there, and just make sure and choose Men of Purpose for the giving designation. And we'll know that it goes in at $7. And so we would love to have you this coming Saturday morning with Reggie Doss, and it's going to be a great day. So looking forward to that. But on today's show, we're going to get to March Madness. The NCAA tournament is set. Local USC fans are upset. They feel snubbed. Who are the favorites? Other things and factors about college hoops. The Houston Astros today visited the White House. We'll talk about that if we get some time towards the end of the show. Of course, we'll end the show with our 2-minute drill. But right now, let's get to our leadoff topic, which is the NFL offseason. And I love me some football. Got Rob and Jody. Well, Rob Judkins logging in saying thanks for the shout out to Day by Day with Rob and Jody. Love you, brother. Love you too, Rob. That's what we do. We got each other's backs, brother. So this weekend, and in the last couple weeks, it's been brewing up more, but really the last week in the NFL has had a lot of activity. Some years, you always have moves, and you get guys who are going to get cut who you expect. But right now, to me, there is a lot of big moves happening in the NFL. Big names, big trades, teams shifting. You got the NFL draft coming up, still probably 6 weeks away. But if you're a football junkie like I am, you just can't get enough football talk. And you got all the mock drafts out there, and Mel Kiper Jr. with his mock draft 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I don't know everything why it has to be an 0.0, I mean, why can't this be mock draft 1? It's never 1.1. It's just 1.0. Like, it sounds better or something. Anyway, we're a bunch of, anyway. All right, so a lot of things going on, and starting with the dismantling of the Seattle Seahawks. If you have not heard, Michael Bennett, star player for them, one of the leaders of the team, if you can call what he does leadership, I know a lot do. Listen, my takes might upset you. They might bother you. Then call in and let me know what you think about it. That's what talk radio is all about. That's what sports talk is all about. That's what America's all about, all right? First Amendment. So Michael Bennett was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, so he goes from a team that is on the decline and ends up with the Super Bowl champs. They traded him there for a 7th-round pick, for a 5th-round pick, and wide receiver Marcus Johnson, who is a young but very fast player. And the Eagles also dealt wide receiver Torrey Smith away, so they're looking to keep their wide receiver ranks filled. But really the trade is Michael Bennett. That's who this trade is about. And so they send him to the Seahawks, I should say. So the Seahawks, so that's one move. Then over the weekend, it had been rumored Alan Schwartz jumping in saying he is old now, though. He's old now, though, man. Yeah, I know he's older. I wouldn't say he's old yet. Time will tell. In the NFL, it can go quickly. So we'll come back to that point because that could be the case. But it had been rumored for a long time, and it happened over the weekend. On Friday, they released controversial cornerback Richard Sherman, outspoken cornerback Richard Sherman. Some people call leader Richard Sherman, but over the last 5 years, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He was never, in my opinion, never the best cornerback, like some people said, like he tried to sometimes say, because he stayed on one side of the ball. If you're going to be the best cornerback in the NFL, go to Patrick Peterson. Wherever the best wide receiver on the field is, he follows them wherever they go. Every week, when that person has to cover the best wide receiver of each team and then does it and locks everybody down, that's the best cornerback in football. That was not Richard Sherman. That's not his fault necessarily, but the way head coach Pete Carroll ran their defense, they stayed on one side. So he always covered the left side or the right side. I don't remember which it was now. So he was always the left cornerback or the right cornerback, but he was never just followed around the best receiver. But a great player nonetheless, no doubt about it. He is very outspoken. And if you remember that, even from last year, they tried to trade him last season. There was rumors about him getting traded during the season, and then he got hurt and was out for probably the last half of the season, the last couple months of the season. And that killed the trade value, of course. They weren't going to get anything for him after that point, so they just held on to him. But they flat out released him. Then shockingly, and I say shockingly, the very next day, he signed with division rival San Francisco. And to me, that was definitely personal. I don't know the man. I could be wrong. It seemed very personal. I thought for sure he would end up in Dallas or New York, try to go to a big market, get a lot of attention. He went to San Francisco, and I think that's because he wants to stick it back to the Seattle Seahawks, and that's his prerogative. I don't care about that. A lot of players, circle dates in the calendar when they play their former team. A lot of guys intentionally go to the arch rival. Look at the defensive end linebacker for, blanking on his name, from the Steelers, James Harrison. The Steelers cut him. He signs with the Patriots, who, they were destined to meet in the playoffs. They did it because the Steelers choked against the Jaguars. But a lot of players do that. It's human instinct. You want to stick it back to the person that you feel wronged you. Revenge. It's in our DNA. It doesn't mean it's right, especially if you're a believer, because Scripture says, vengeance is mine, declares the Lord. And a lot of times all we do is cause more problems for ourselves when we just seek vengeance, and it can consume us. But Richard Sherman signed a day later with the 49ers. It could be a good signing, similar to Michael Bennett. The whole Seahawks defense, the Legion of Boom. And listen, I don't like the team. I don't like the coach. I don't like most of the players on that. Well, I shouldn't say most. I don't like those two players. Cliff Averill, he's fine. I like Earl Thomas, actually, and I don't know how you don't like Cam Chancellor, but the Legion of Boom is one of the best nicknames in the history of the NFL. It's up there with the Steel Curtain, the Fearsome Foursome, the Purple People Eaters, Orange Crush. Legion of Boom is right there to me, only after the Steel Curtain defense. Legion of Boom, it's great. And they were this big, imposing defense, especially in the secondary. And it is shocking that they may now be completely dismantling this team. I'm getting the signal that we have a caller here into the show. So, caller, you are on the air. Who is this? Who am I talking to right here on the God Love Sports Radio Show?
Jeremy, it's Robert Vargas.
Oh, Rob, what's up, man? You calling from St. Louis?
What up, bro? I certainly am, dude. We're calling from St. Louis. I'm here for another few days, but I've been waiting for this moment, man, ever since I saw that Sherman signed.
You're a Niner fan.
Like, I'm gonna call into this dude's show, and I'm gonna see what I can say about it.
All right, so Robert Vargas is the co-host of the Hope Lounge on Thursday nights here, but he's in St. Louis for business for the last several weeks, and I know he's looking forward to come home. But Robert is a big Niners fan. And so, do you like the move? What you've been waiting to call about it? So, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I do like the move actually. the moment that I saw that there were rumors that he was going to get released, I was hoping that, the Niners would reach out to him and at least talk with him. Because, I mean, I like you said, I'm a big 49ers fan, and it killed me. It killed me in that NFC Championship game that he was the one at the very end talking all that smack about Crabtree and saying that he was the best corner and all this other nonsense. But I knew that this dude was a good player, and that if we wanted to have another chance to make it to the NFC Championship game or even to the Super Bowl, that we would need to bring in a talent like this guy.
Are you concerned about his injuries at all? Because coming off that injury and getting older, sometimes players don't back. I mean, last year, the first part of the year, it looked like he started to lose a step. Does that concern you?
It does. With like you said, his age coming into a factor. I mean, you can only throw your body around so much without getting, sort of starting to feel some of the repercussions from it. But I mean, all in all, I think this dude has a baller's heart, and he's willing to get out there. And sometimes, like he said, that circling those dates, when the Niners do play the Seahawks, sometimes that can really drive a guy, into playing really well and just playing, pedal to the metal. And that's what John Lynch even said. He said we offered something to Sherman that nobody else could offer. The fact that we played the Seahawks twice.
Yeah, look, I think the fact that he signed the very next day, he must have already been, planning on where he wanted to play, hoping the Niners would talk to him. Because to sign the very next day, in fact, I have one of my coworkers at Azusa Pacific, Steve Stillwell, who's been on the station with me before as a guest host, is a Niners fan as well. And he didn't know Saturday night when we were at the games, he didn't know they'd actually signed Sherman. And so he just came to me and goes, "Richard Sherman, baby." And I said, "Did you hear?" And he said, "Hear what?" I said, "Did you hear about Sherman?" And he said, "You mean that he had a visit with them today?" And I said, "No, he signed." And he said, "Wait a minute, that was his first visit." And I said, "Well, he signed." So, he only visited apparently one team. So I think it's definitely a revenge factor. Now, let me ask you this. I don't like the attitude. I like an edge. I think players need to have an edge, especially in football. But I think certain attitudes can kill a team. And are you concerned about the Sherman attitude on the Niners?
A little bit, yes. Because, like I said, I even I've commented on certain things that people have posted on Facebook that, I can't stand the dude. I can't stand the dude one bit, but I can't deny his talent, and I can't deny, that he is, a guy that has a lot of heart and, and a lot of skill. But, it would be interesting to see how he does mix well with the current roster. I mean, I know that a lot of the players from, that Niners-Seahawks rivalry from about 5 years ago are pretty much all gone.
Right.
So he won't really have many of those dudes that he would butt heads with. It will be interesting to see how he and Eric Reed, take on the team.
I'll just say this because Robert, I'm a Raiders fan, and that Seattle Seahawks team had a definite attitude. Some of you might want to call it swagger, whatever. They had a point of view.
Swag.
They had an attitude, a certain team chemistry, and I'm going to get to more in a minute, that Russell Wilson did not fit with, which is part of the demise of this team. And I'm not blaming Russell Wilson. I'm just saying he did not mix, but Marshawn Lynch did. And I think Marshawn Lynch brought a certain attitude to the team this year, and to the Raiders, and I think it hurt the Raiders. I think it damaged the Raiders, and I hope they release him. They have not done so yet, but I saw what an attitude from the outside can come in and what it can do to a locker room. And when you're outspoken like Marshawn Lynch, and when you're outspoken like Richard Sherman, it can really have those kind of effects on a team. And it could work, but I think it might work short term. I'm more concerned about his injury prowess. He was already slowing down last year. Then when you have an injury it wasn't a shoulder injury. I don't remember if it was his knee or his ankle. I don't think it was his knee. I think it was an ankle or something like that. When you have an injury to your lower body and then you're getting older and it comes back, it can be your back too maybe. But, again, it wasn't an elbow or a shoulder or something like that. That can slow you down. And I just concerned. Do you know the kind of deal they had? I didn't have a chance to even research. what kind of a deal they gave him?
It was a 3-year. It was only a 3-year deal. I think it was 3 years, like $35 million.
Okay, so almost $9 million a year.
Yeah. Oh, no, 3 years, $39 million.
Oh, $13 million a year. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't huge by any measure, or I mean, like it wasn't like a Jimmy G deal or anything like that. But
well, he's not a quarterback.
But it was only 3 years.
Now, do you know? Is it a team-friendly deal
so
that if he underperforms, can they cut him and it won't hurt them against the cap, or are they bound to him? Do you know?
Let me see. Richard Sherman. I'm on Twitter right now. Richard Sherman's deal includes a $5 million signing bonus plus a $2 million base salary. The $2 million and 46-man roster bonuses, $1 million playtime incentive, $3 million Pro Bowl incentive, and other incentives as it goes.
So it sounds like it's
performance based.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a club friendly deal that if he doesn't perform, they don't pay as much, and if he's not playing well, they can cut him and it won't go. That's the biggest thing. Again, being a Raiders fan, I am very sensitive to signing stupid deals with older players on the downside of their career and then being locked up in salary cap hell for several seasons. So anyway,
exactly, yeah.
It's an interesting move. Look, I think the landscape of the NFC West has definitely changed. The Seahawks have owned it for the last 5-6 years, and they're now starting over. I mean, we'll see what they continue. There's a lot of rumors out there right now, but you've got the Rams obviously made the playoffs, and I think the Rams are pushing their chips to the middle of the table, and it looks like San Francisco is now doing the same thing. Real quickly, Robert, we're going to get to the draft a little bit. Well, I have you on the phone because I got to go to break in just a few seconds. But where do you want the Niners to go with their first-round pick? What is there a position? Is there a player?
You know, with Carlos Hyde, being at the end of his contract, I would like to see them get a running back, but it doesn't look like there would be any. As good of running backs in the later rounds. They won the 7th pick over the Raiders on that coin flip. So I mean, if Saquon Barkley makes it that far out, I would love to see them draft him.
I've said there's been talk about that. If he falls, I cannot see Barkley falling that far, but it's the NFL draft. No. It's possible. If he does, I think they absolutely have to take him. You put Jimmy G, with Saquon Barkley behind him, you're doing what the Rams did. You get a young quarterback with a stud running back with Gurley, and you start to really have a dynamic offense. So, and then when you've got the kind of offensive coach that Shanahan is, if Barkley's there, I don't think he will be, but if Barkley's there, then you definitely, I think you have to take him there. And I think that they would.
Absolutely.
But it will be interesting. That's why I said I've been so excited to get on the air and talk about all these moves going on, because really the NFL the landscape shifts so drastically, with draft picks, off-season moves. It's exciting. So anyway, Robert, thanks for calling in. We miss you, man. That's for sure. And Robert's part of my church, and we haven't seen him for a while. And so I know you're back this weekend. I know you'd be glad to be back with your family. And but anyway, thanks for calling in, brother. Good talking to you. Have a good last few days there, and we'll see you at the end of we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, we'll see you Sunday. Take care.
Okay, man. Thanks, Robert. God bless. All right, well, we could talk a lot more, and I am going to get more to talk about the Seahawks here, but we got to go to break. So on the other side of the break, we're going to hit more about the dismantling of the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to get to the Rams offseason moves. We're going to get to Kirk Cousins, the Cleveland Browns trades. The Raiders have made a big move. Other key players that are going to get cut, big-name players like Ndamukong Suh, the NFL Draft, March Madness. A lot of great things going on in the sports world. If you're listening right now, do me a favor. Share the show to your page. Share it to your wall. Invite your friends. If they love sports, this is the show to listen to. We're going to break right now. We'll be back in just a couple minutes right here on the God I Love Sports radio show.
You're listening to Hope Radio 247.com, bringing you the hope of Jesus Christ.
What up, everyone? This is Ramon with Epic Thoughts and Hope Lounge on Hope Radio 24/7. And attention all you artists, musicians, and producers. We have a brand new opportunity for you here at Hope Recovery Center. We have our very own studio. That's right. We have a studio where people could come in and record their greatest music and explore their ministry in the arts. And for the month of February, for this month only, we are having a special for anybody who wants to come use the studio. We're having a one-time special for the month of February, 2 hours for $125. That's right. You get a full recording for a 2-hour minimum of $125. For more information, email me at hopestudio@hoperecoverycenterinc.org. Hey, this is Ramon with Epic Thoughts on Hope Radio 24/7. Did you miss your favorite show this week? Not a problem. Did you know you could download the app, go to your Google Play Store or your Windows Store, and download Hope Radio 24/7? On that app, you have all your favorite shows. So whether it's the Eddie Foy Show, the Hours of Hope Radio, God I Love Sports, or your favorite show, Epic Thoughts, and you can listen to every show all the time on the go on the Hope Radio 24/7 app. There's also bulletins that let you know what's going on over here at the radio station and at Hope Recovery Center. Opportunities for you to give, and even prayer requests. If you need somebody to pray for you, we are there for you. So we just want to thank you for your opportunity for letting us bless you with our radio station. Download the app, Hope Radio 24/7. Thanks for listening, and you have a blessed day.
And we're back on the God I Love Sports radio show. We've been talking about the NFL offseason. A lot of big moves going on now. And we just got off a phone call with Robert Vargas, co-host of the Hope Lounge here on Hope Radio 24/7 on Thursday nights. Big Niners fan. He likes the signing of Richard Sherman. But we've talked about the dismantling of the Seattle Seahawks. They traded away Michael Bennett. They released Richard Sherman. They also released cornerback Jeremy Lane. Now, Michael Bennett and Richard Sherman are the biggest names so far. They're the two most outspoken people on that team, no doubt about it. But there have been a lot of rumors that they're going to release Cam Chancellor, that they are looking to move Earl Thomas, which is a head-scratcher to me. Cliff Averill could be on the move as well. And tight end Jimmy Graham, they said, could be headed back to New Orleans. That is a total dismantling of this team. Listen, in the NFL, and in a lot of sports, but really in the NFL, you have to look at things and they call it a window. You have a window. When the LA Kings won their first Stanley Cup in 2012, I'm a huge Kings fan. Go Kings, go. When they won their first cup, I was most excited because I said, this isn't just a one-year team. The nucleus of this team is young. And I said, they have a window. They won the cup again 2 years later. I said, this team could have a window of 8 years. Now, they won in 2012. They won in 2014. They have not won since. But the nucleus is still there that if they can get the right chemistry, the right pieces, they may be able to make another run with goalie Jonathan Quick, Anji Kopitar, Drew Doughty, and the like. You've got guys like that. And there's a window. Some windows are small. Some windows are bigger. Some teams a few years ago, the Denver Broncos, okay, they had this great defense. They brought in Peyton Manning, and they opened up a 4-year window. They went to the Super Bowl twice in that 4 years, and they won it once. And at the end of that season, when they won the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning was obviously shot. His career was over. They kind of won that Super Bowl in spite of him, not because of him, even though he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But their window was closed, and now they've been looking for the last 2 seasons for another quarterback. That defense is getting older. Can they get a quarterback to open up another window? I don't know if it'll be a 4-year window, but it might be another 2-year window. That's how you look at it in the NFL. The Seahawks had a nucleus of players for about 5 years, and it's the players we just mentioned. Cliff Averill, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Michael Bennett. They had other guys in the mix as well. Of course, Richard Sherman. And then you had, on the offensive side, you had the running back, Marshawn Lynch. Sorry, I got all these names going on my head. Marshawn Lynch. Their quarterback. I'm just blanking on names right now. Sorry. And then they had a bunch of other players as well. So that was the nucleus of their team. Now, ever since Russell Wilson, sorry, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Ever since that Super Bowl that they lost 3 years ago, 3 Super Bowls ago, to the New England Patriots, when Russell Wilson throws it into the end zone when they're on the 1-yard line, and Malcolm Butler intercepts it, and everyone was just stunned. I mean, stunned that they threw the ball, and you're on the 1-yard line with Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. You hand him the ball every time, and you take your chances that way. But they call a pass play. Malcolm Butler reads it, makes an incredible jump on it, intercepts it. Seahawks lose the Super Bowl, and supposedly this team never recovered. And that defense, which this was a defensive team, no doubt about it, all right? The Legion of Boom is nicknamed for the defense, not the offense, okay? And then they were still a threat 2 years ago when Marshawn Lynch retired and didn't play, sat out a whole year. But this was a defensive-led team, and you've got vocal guys like Michael Bennett and Richard Sherman. Supposedly they blamed Russell Wilson, but there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of stories printed, and especially last year, the big story came out that was all about that and this divide where the defense did not like Russell Wilson because he's not like them. I'm going to say it very directly. Michael Bennett, Richard Sherman are left-wing people. That's what they seem like, okay? They are progressive, whatever you want to say. They speak out against the police. They wanted the team to sign Colin Kaepernick. They were pro taking a knee. They're always about those the side that aligns that. Russell Wilson doesn't get caught up in all that stuff. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't promote it. Supposedly he was waiting, not having sex with his girlfriend Sierra till they got married. That is not a left-wing kind of thing to do. And they did not like him. They wanted Russell Wilson out. Here's the thing. Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. All right? Definitely top 10. Easy. Let's say, all right, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Undisputed top 3 quarterbacks. After that, Russell Wilson's right there. Last year, there was a stat, he's like 80% of the offense. And everyone says this thing about, oh, he has to run around all the time. He has to run around because he has no choice. Because they have no offensive line. That's why they can't run the ball anymore. So while they've loaded up and gave all these contracts to the defensive players, and Russell Wilson himself, they ignored the offensive line. They had a great offensive lineman, Max Unger. They traded him to the Saints to get Jimmy Graham. And ever since, that offensive line's been a mess. No wonder the guys to run around. And you can listen to players, current players who played against them and said, listen, that guy is amazing at what he does. The fact that Michael Bennett and Richard Sherman and supposedly the defense blamed Russell Wilson, didn't like him, is idiotic. They should be so thankful they have a franchise quarterback, a star player, an amazing player. But that, in my opinion, that attitude has doomed this team. They won one Super Bowl. Most teams don't win, okay? My Raiders have not won the Super Bowl since 1984. Other teams haven't even been to the Super Bowl in decades. They won it. Congrats. They're a great team. They were. But why I don't like attitudes like that. I don't like Cam Newton's attitude. All right? I never liked LeBron James' attitude. Because those attitudes in the end, they typically don't win more than when they should. There's something about that attitude. I call it, and this is my opinion. You may disagree, and that's fine. Okay? We've lost the ability in America to disagree. We also we have to hate each other because we disagree. Come on, that's stupid. Let's be smarter than that. Let's be more mature than that. I can have someone cuss me out to my face. It's not going to change how I feel about them. All right? They disagree with me. They don't like me. Okay, but I'm going to like you anyway. I'm still going to have a relationship with you anyway, or be willing to. But this attitude they've had, where they just were so self-righteous in their attitudes. They were so condescending. I think it doomed this team. If the Seahawks completely dismantle and get rid of Cam Chancellor, Cliff Averill, and I don't know why on earth you get rid of Earl Thomas. I don't know Earl Thomas's attitude, but he's pretty quiet. And he's one of the best safeties in all of football. I don't know why you get rid of him. I can understand getting rid of a few guys, problem guys, changing the attitude, and maybe that's what the Seahawks are trying to do. Maybe they're trying to send a message to some of these guys right now and say, listen, you better get a better attitude or you're out of here. I don't know. None of us know. But if they completely dismantle that team, it will be a shame because this team should have won more than one Super Bowl. You've got a franchise quarterback, probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, definitely top 7. You've got this great defense, and they won one Super Bowl. They went to another. They almost won it, could have won it, should have won it. You know, what do you say? Hang on, I got someone texting me now wanting to call in. So, I don't have any breaks to do this. Sorry, everybody. And so now this team has to dismantle and completely rebuild. Man, I just, there's a lot we could talk about. I could talk about this for an hour. But really, it's just a shame that such a great team would have to be dismantled. And I think it's because of the attitude. That they've got this victim mentality, this woe is me. Remember one of the players in the defensive line tried to throw something back in the stands? I can't remember his name, and yelled at the stands. And Michael Bennett comes out and defends him and says, you know, you got to remember, I mean, he's people too. I mean, come on, you're a grown man. You're supposed to be professional. You're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly millions of dollars. Just let the fans yell and walk in the locker room. I'm not saying anything goes, but there was no stories about them saying anything derogatory, nothing racial, okay? These guys are so protected now. It's just nuts. So I just, man, the Seahawks were a great team, Legion of Boom. If they completely dismantle again, it's a shame. I'm going to go to the Rams, another team in their division. The Rams are making big moves. Over the weekend, they traded for cornerback Aqib Talib of the Denver Broncos, another player I don't like because I don't like his attitude. Look, forgive me. I expect you to come in and be professional. I want you to have a good attitude. I want you to not be me first. I want you to be a team. I like team guys. Okay, when Brett Favre was holding up the Packers franchise because he was all about him and he thought he was a superstar beyond the team and they wanted to move on to Aaron Rodgers, and he kept flirting year in, year out saying, I might retire, I don't know. And then he comes back, I might retire, I don't know. Then he gets mad when they draft Aaron Rodgers trying to replace Brett Favre because for 3 or 4 years he said he was going to retire. I couldn't stand that. I didn't like Roger Clemens, okay? And so, Barry Bonds, me first guy. I can't stand me first guys. I was raised to be about the team. We got another call here right now on the God I Love Sports Radio Show, so let's go in. You are on the God I Love Sports Radio Show. Who am I talking to?
What's up, Jeremy? It's Steve.
Steve Stillwell. What's up, man? Steve is...
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What you calling in about? What do you want to talk about?
Well, you know what? You're talking about these me-first guys, and you're talking about the Seattle Seahawks dismantling this team. I would not be surprised one bit if we see Mr. Pete the Cheat Carroll leave if they dismantle this team. He's a me-first guy, in my opinion. He left USC when they were about to be sanctioned. He got up and he walked away. He signed this lucrative deal with Seattle, and now that Seattle's window is closed, like you put it, I think he's out too. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. And he definitely did it at USC. Remember what he did to Mark Sanchez? He told Mark Sanchez, he called him out publicly and left his press conference because Sanchez came out after a junior because Pete Carroll knew he didn't have a quarterback to replace Mark Sanchez yet and said, I don't think he's ready. Now, look, you could say, well, he was actually looking out for the best interest of the player. In hindsight, Sanchez wasn't ready. I don't know if Sanchez ever would have been ready. But if your player's going to leave, you stand behind your player and you support him. And then the story came out. I'm sure you know Steve Stillwell, Petros Papadakis, used to play for USC. He's a sports announcer. He's very close to the USC program and knows a lot of people. And going back to the play where they, in the Super Bowl, when they did not run Marshawn Lynch and wanted Russell Wilson to throw it, he said, knowing Pete Carroll the way he does, that was a Pete Carroll move, a Pete Carroll call, because he wanted it to be not about Marshawn Lynch getting the credit. He wanted to be the guy that made the big call that no one was expecting, and it bit him in the backside. I totally agree. I never liked Pete Carroll from his days at USC. Yes, I'm a UCLA fan. That's a big reason. I never liked his attitude. And I think he's a me-first guy as well. He's got this player-friendly, let everyone speak out, let them do what they want, but it comes crashing down when it's over. USC came crashing down at the end, and he bolted, and now the Seahawks appear to be crashing down. You make a great point. He could bolt. He could be out of here.
Well, and another thing, too, is why does Richard Sherman sign with the 49ers? Because it's in the division. He can stick it to Pete Carroll and that team twice a year. And how awesome would it be, speaking as a 49er fan, if the 49ers make the playoffs, the Seahawks don't, and he goes in there to Seattle, game on the line, Seattle driving, and he makes the interception to seal the game. And it's just, well, see, I told you. And everybody's mad at Richard Sherman, all the fans up there in Seattle for, oh, well, he left our team. No, they left him. They let him go. He needs to take care of his family. Do I like the guy when he's a Seahawk? Absolutely not. Why? Because he beat my team every time. But you know what? If you can't beat him, join him.
Niners fans are fired up. We got our second 49er fan calling in today about Richard Sherman coming to their team. And Steve, I love it, man. I've realized something about you this weekend. You are a massive optimist. With the AP,
absolutely, I'm ready to go.
The APU men's team playing, you were dreaming about them taking down CBU, and every scenario you're saying this is going to happen. Now you're saying the playoffs will be on the line, and Seahawks will be driving, and Richard Sherman. You come up with these scenarios, man, that are your dream scenario for your teams, man. You are a glasses half full kind of guy.
That's what fans do, my friend. we want to stick it to them. I would if the 49ers lose, I'd rather see a Seahawks loss than a 49ers win. And I mean that in a weird way, but just seeing the Seahawks lose, it brings joy to me. I mean, I love them as people, but as a team, no thank you.
Well, listen, I don't like Pete Carroll, so I don't like him winning, but I do like Russell Wilson. And what this move now does is it says, now again, there's rumors about letting go of Cliff Averill and Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. But if they follow through with another one of those guys, and especially two, they are definitely sending the signal, this is no longer the defense's team. This is Russell Wilson's team, and they're going to move forward with him. I think that's the definite message there. And so I like Russell Wilson, so I'm going to want him to succeed. I'm not particularly a 49ers fan. And look, I like the Rams. They're the SoCal team. I'm a Raiders fan, but I have been down with every move the Rams have made. They've done a great job turning that thing around, and so they're a fun, exciting team to watch. So I want the Rams to step up in the next few years and take over. So it'll be definitely interesting to see what happens. That's part of the reason why we love the NFL and we love football, is because so much can change from season to season, and it's always exciting to see what is actually going to happen.
Yes, sir. I can't agree with you more.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun. Can we start tomorrow? We put the pads on and play tomorrow. Let's go.
Not quite. We need the draft first. A lot of other exciting stuff. So anyway, well, Steve, thanks for calling in, man. I got to get to some other teams here, but appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you listening, and I'll see you in a couple hours at APU.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk to you then.
Okay, man. Thanks. All right. Well, that's a lot of Seahawks talk. Got another 49ers fan calling in. So listen, if you want to call in, give us a call. Okay, 712-775-8984. It's a free call. So you have to enter the code 205-492. Again, those numbers, 712-775-8984, and enter the code 205-492. If you're watching via Facebook, it's posted right there where my finger's pointing. It's on the Hope Radio 24/7 app and webpage as well. Give us a call. Let me know about your team, your opinions on what we talked about. Well, let's move on to the Rams. The Rams, we were saying, made a major move in trading for cornerback Aqib Talib. This is coming on the heels of trading for another cornerback, Marcus Peters, from the Kansas City Chiefs. And wow, those are two really good NFL cornerbacks. Marcus Peters has led the NFL over the last 2 seasons with interceptions. He's a problem child, but he's a great player. Aqib Talib, good player, borderline great player, attitude. And so, when you start getting a couple of those guys together, I just don't like building that way. I think a team should have an edge, but you have to have, if you're going to have attitude like that kind of attitude, a me first attitude, a complaining attitude, or just that you're just immature. I think Marcus Peters is immature. If you're going to have that, you have to have a strong locker room, other strong leaders to counteract, strong coaching staff. So the story is that Aqib Talib, coming from the Broncos to the Rams, who's their defensive coordinator? Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips was the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos last year and over the last several seasons, not last year, but 2 years ago now. And they're thinking that he can lead or control or help Aqib Talib. Marcus Peters, I don't know about. Listen, Andy Reid is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And last year, he had to suspend Marcus Peters for one game for pretty much being a knucklehead, for throwing the referee's flag into the stands at the end of the game, for walking off the field when he had not been kicked out, assuming he was kicked out, took off his shoes, took off his cleats, and they needed him back on the field. He had to come back in the game for the last 2 minutes with his cleats on and no socks because he started to get undressed. He just is a problem child. And you're going to act that way. I'm going to call you a child. I'm not trying to disparage the guy, but you're going to act that way. That's what it is. You're acting childish. And they had to suspend him when they were in a playoff hunt. The Chiefs ended up winning that game. Andy Reid got called out by so many sports writers and talk show hosts saying, oh, you're going to hurt your team. You're taking out one of your best players. They won the game anyway and made the playoffs. Andy Reid knew what he's doing. He's led the NFL in interceptions the last 2 years. So why? Why would they trade a guy away like that? Because he's a problem. Jason Whitlock, national sports reporter, very close to the Kansas City program because he worked in Kansas City for years, said this guy's a problem all year round. He's a headache. That's why they were willing to get rid of him. In the NFL, talent is everything. Talent is supreme, I should say. It's not everything, but it's supreme. You have to find talent. This guy was talented. Why would they give him away? Because he's a problem. So I'm concerned about how that's going to affect the Rams. Then you get two guys together. Man, that's tough. I don't know. But big moves by the Rams. Look, if those guys are not problems, if they can find a way to lead those guys, manage those guys, you got two great cornerbacks. They traded away linebacker Alec Ogletree to the New York Giants. Now, smart salary cap move. I mean, they just 5 months ago gave him a 4-year, $42.75 million extension. But last year he did not play well and was just not a good player. And so they were able to get rid of him. And they also traded Robert Quinn, but they're making up moves to get draft picks back. It's a long story, but the Rams are making big moves, that's for sure. So we're going to have to see how that pays off. Kirk Cousins still has not signed. He's out there. He's the biggest free agent out there, and he's probably going to set the bar where other quarterbacks go, and he will decide the landscape in a lot of ways in the NFL, because depending on where he signs will affect how other teams, where they go at quarterback, where they draft, if they're willing to trade, all these kind of things. So Jody White-Junkins saying, great show. Appreciate it, Jody. Thank you. And potential teams right now are the Minnesota Vikings, the New York Jets, the Denver Broncos. From a football point of view, if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm signing with Minnesota. Minnesota's got a young defense, a very good defense, a good head coach, good wide receivers, and Adam Thielen and the guy from Maryland. I can't remember his name right now. Again, sorry, I get too many names rolling through my head at once. I can't remember them all. They're getting Dalvin Cook back next year as running back. I would go to the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that's where he's going to go. They can offer him a pretty good salary, but they also they're a good team. If you want to win, and Kirk Cousins needs to win, the knock on Kirk Cousins is, yeah, he's a pretty good quarterback. He has good stats, but the guy doesn't win. And so go to Minnesota, dude. I would go to Minnesota. The next place I would go, as much as I hate to say this, I would go to the Broncos because they win. The Jets can offer him the most money, though, so we're going to see where he goes. But I think he's going to Minnesota. The Browns made some big moves this weekend, trading for quarterback Tyrod Taylor from the Buffalo Bills. What does this mean? What does it affect? It affects the draft more than anything. I think the Browns are taking Tyrod Taylor, and the conventional wisdom is, as a one-year player, a stopgap, draft a young quarterback. The Browns have the number 1 and number 4 pick. And so when you have that number 1 and 4 pick, they're going to take a quarterback. There's 5 good quarterbacks, especially 4. There's a lot of stories right now about Sam Darnold has been the biggest guy that have been rumored. There's talk about they might like Baker Mayfield, though, and they might like Josh Allen from Wyoming. If I'm the Browns, again, I take Saquon Barkley number 1. There has not been a number 1 running back go in the draft since 1995, Kajana Carter, coincidentally from Penn State. That guy is a stud, though. Athletically, he's amazing. Receiver, running. Draft Saquon Barkley number 1, and whatever quarterback is left, and you might have all 4 quarterbacks left at number 4. Take your quarterback then. Give your quarterback some help by having a great running game. Build up your team that way. But I like the moves they're making. They also traded for wide receiver Jarvis Landry. Small, but a great slot receiver, a high percentage of volume of catching the ball. They had to get players. So a good move by them. Raiders are going to release quarterback Sean Smith. Good move. Salary cap move, but the guy's going to get arrested and go to jail for prison. I know, same story with the Raiders. We don't have time to talk about it. And Ndamukong Suh looks like he's going to get cut. Chiefs are going to cut linebacker Tamba Hali. The draft is coming up. I didn't have time to get to March Madness. We're at a show. We talked a lot about the Seahawks. But stay tuned to the God Loves Sports Radio Show. Before we go, real quickly, the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, says, pride goes before destruction and haughtiness before a fall. Listen, everybody. These players, they get prideful, and then they get cut just like that and have their world come crashing down. We're no different. We get prideful. We think things are going to go well. It goes before destruction. God says we should be humble. And listen, I've had to go through lessons where God has had to humble me, and it stinks, man. It breaks you. It's hard. Choose humility. It's better for you. It's better for everybody around you. And your life will be blessed because of it. Proverbs 16:18. Look it up. Read it later. We got a lot of other things we didn't get a chance to get to. That's why I'm so excited to talk today. But we will be back next Monday right here, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So join us. Share the show. Listen during the week. God bless everybody.